the cloud. Okay, well, welcome. We are talking about the University of California applications and specifically about the personal insight questions, but we'll also talk about the app overall. And so thank you to Thomas, and he and I are going to be having this conversation, and it's just like a session I would have with anybody. And thank you for being at home and watching this and getting up to speed on it. So first, Thomas, you were saying that with the University of California's, you're applying to multiple, is that right? Several you're going to apply to? Yeah. And so the nice thing with them is that you do the application, you complete the activities list, and you do the writing components that they call personal insight questions. And the same ones go to all the schools. So you do have to pay money for each school that you apply to, but beyond that, you can send the same application to each one. The one thing that is a little bit different, and we can see when you go into the application, is that each school has their funky things. Okay, I don't know, have you gotten into the University of California application site yet? If
No,
not, let's do that. Okay, so will you Google University of California first year application? And we'll bring that up.
Applying as a freshman?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Should I share my screen?
Yeah, why don't we go ahead and do that? All right, and so there's the how to apply, there's the apply now. So what I'd like you to do is go to the apply now, and they're going to invite you to create a an application portal. Like if you've already done the common application, it's very similar to that. And so a little bit above where you are here, there's a place to say start your application or something like that. But let's go through what this says first. You will need to, in that what you would need part, it said that you're going to need to have your transcripts and your really anything that you any paperwork type stuff like SATs and APs, even though they don't consider SAT or ACT for the decision, they do use it for placement. So they're happy for you to put them in there if you want to, and you can rest assured that they're not going to look at them as part of the application or the admissions process. If you are applying for an application fee waiver, then you've got your annual income together, but then you get your social, and in the end, you're going to need to pay, so you'll have that information. But in order to complete this, you will want to have your transcript or your informal list of courses and grades available, because they're going to ask you to self-report all that stuff. They won't have your transcript sent to them as part of the application process. They are completely reliant on your self-reporting. And so you need to make it as exact as it is on your transcript. They want that. So they want all those things before, but the thing is that you can come back to it. So if you open it today and then want to come back to it another time, you can, and it should save your work. So let's go ahead up there. Other things you'll want to have, like if you've already done a bunch of work to open up your common application and you've done your activities list and your BBs and all that stuff, those would be good things to have around too. Okay, but so this is just like in the Common App where you're opening a platform, and let's go to the start your application. Sorry, you see where it says it under apply now, there's a little paragraph, and then under there it says start your application.
Oh,
yeah.
Gotcha.
Okay, and so I think you might want to, after a little while, we'll have you stop sharing your screen when it gets to be actually you signing in. But just like they're saying, there are 9 campuses and there's 1 application. Okay, so once you stop sharing your screen and you go ahead and create the account, and I will bring up some other things to show folks while you're doing that. Okay, so folks at home, things that we're going to be working from today are probably in your Council More assignments. And if they aren't, just ask me for them. I'm going to show you in Thomas's. There's this assignment called Create a UC Application Portal Account. Okay, I need to share my screen and show this to you. In Council More, in the assignments, create the UC application portal account. That's what Thomas is doing right now. We showed you generally how to get in there. And then on the schooling doula links up here, I'll show you, there is a folder about the UC application. So it's down here under shared student resources. This is a great place to look if you're looking for additional information, but in general, I put in what you need. Okay, so you don't, if you don't have access to this or you can't easily see this, don't worry. So this is a set of documents that are all about the University of California application, and the workbook that I'm going to be showing Thomas later is the original copy is in here, and you could go in here and make a copy of it for yourself. There are slide sets and an admission handbook, all from the University of California's themselves. And so this is a good tool for everybody to check. That was one assignment. And then there's another assignment that has information about their 13 points of comprehensive review, which we're going to go through today. And it has a link to that workbook that I was just showing about. And then there's an assignment about completing the application sections before the activities and the personal insight questions. That's just like that Common App assignment where you're filling out all the personal info. So you're going to do that. And then there's this assignment about the personal insight question brainstorming. And so I'm saying that word over and over again, personal insight question. That's what the University of California Schools calls the short essays that they have. So each of them is 350 words. There's information in your assignment, but I'll just open it right now that you can go to the University of California page, and it's got information about here are their prompts. Okay, and so stuff to keep in mind, and then the actual questions to come up here. And we'll deal with those today. But I just want you to know that all of this stuff there are links to it in your Council More assignments. Okay, that's what we're going to be doing today. Thomas, give me an update on where you are.
I have created the account, so I think I can share it.
Awesome. Great.
All right. So should I start it?
Yeah. So let's go ahead and start it. By the way, University of California really wants you to have access to information about how to do their application. And so they have created a bunch of YouTube content about this. And so if you Google University of California how to or application how to, and you look for things that are created by the University of California itself, not by your random YouTuber, they really have tried to create a whole bunch of videos. So you can check those out too. Okay, so you can obviously fill out your personal information when you are ready to do that. But so that is all going to go to all of the campuses. The one thing that's a little different is when you go into the bar over here on the right, I don't know if you can see me hovering there. It's the one called Campuses and Majors. You see that? It's white. Yep. Yep. Okay, so if you go to choose campuses, let's see that each campus is the different, like the Berkeley and the San Diego and all of that. When you click there, what happens?
On Berkeley.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's not loaded yet. Okay.
Yeah,
All right. So you see these different schools. And so why don't you select, Thomas, the ones that you're planning to apply to right now? You might not know. Oh, are they not letting you? Oh, it says, looks like you're ready to choose your campuses, but before you can do so, you'll need to complete the citizenship and residency page. Okay, so you'll need to go there. Just show us what it's like, and then we'll have you stop sharing again so that you can do that in your own way. Okay, so it's within the personal information. And so they're going to ask you, are you a United States citizen? And many of you have different situations with that. So go ahead, Thomas, and do that while you maybe stop sharing and do that stuff. Great.
Okay.
And I'll do some other sharing while you guys do it. I'm going to look at, let's see. Okay. So one of the things that when Thomas is done, we're going to find is that each college, each university has a few things that are different about them. And so, for example, at UC San Diego, they have undergraduate colleges. I think it's how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, I was going to say, I think it's 7. So 7 undergraduate colleges, and each of them has their own personality and their own general education requirements. And so with the UCs, yes, you do the same application for all the UCs, but the differences are in this stuff, like selecting your residential college or selecting your major. And so with each school, you need to allow yourself some time to do the research for each school. And so like in this case with San Diego, these are the different colleges, the Revelle College, John Muir, Thurgood Marshall, and they tell you what a summary of what the focus is. But then I know I've got another link that I'm going to try to pull up for you where you can compare the schools, because when you go to apply there, they're going to ask you to rank the colleges. And so with each university, there are different questions that show up. So I'm going to do that UC San Diego colleges comparison. And so you're going to start using these kinds of tools. Yes, here I go. Share screen again. So for UC San Diego, you can look at, okay, Revelle has, these are the general education requirements. They have summarizing them: 5 humanities, 2 calc, plus 1 more math, 5 natural science, 2 social science, a fine arts, and a language proficiency. So how does that compare to, say, the John Muir College? All right, so for them, they have 2 writing, 3 social science, 3 math or natural science, and then 2 3-course sequences, which means altogether 6 classes in either fine arts, foreign language, or humanities. And so if you're a person who would be attracted to this course of study in the John Muir College over Revelle College, then when you go to rank the schools on the site, then you would do it that way. And so you can keep going. They let you compare 3 at a time, and you can see all the different schools. The thing is with the University of California's, they do have a lot of people applying for each school and a lot of people going to each school. And so you might not get your first choice, but it's certainly worth doing the time to research whatever the school is offering as things that are different about them. It's important to dedicate at least a couple of hours per school to really dig into whatever they're asking about. The other thing is the majors. So we'll talk about that next. Oh, interesting. Okay. So there's a challenge that Thomas is having, and I'll just say that he's got a confusion about his name. I mean, he's not confused about his name, but what he puts in there is confusing. So I'm going to stop share for a second. I don't know, Thomas, if it's something that you can show me, but I'm wondering whether other people might have this problem too. And I'll just say, in general, if you encounter problems, one thing is to Google it. Okay, what if you take out Thomas as your preferred first name? Does it let you submit?
Let's see. Oh, yeah. Okay, we're good.
Okay, I think it was just saying like, yeah, if you want to put something different, put it here. Otherwise, we'll keep going on. Okay. So this is
Perfect.
the citizenship part. Is that what you're getting to?
Mhm.
Did you already do the citizenship part?
I just said where I was born and like my
Okay.
name and stuff like that. I'm not
Do you
sure.
see over on the right where there's that gray part?
Oh,
Yes, and
yeah,
there's
it's
one that
next.
says citizenship and residency. Is that already completed?
No, not yet.
Okay, so why don't
I'll
you
work on
stop
that.
sharing and put that stuff in, and then we'll go there. Okay, I'm gonna just pause the recording for a sec. For those of you who are watching at home, I just paused the video so Thomas could do some of that, creating the application itself and filling out some information. And so you can pause the video now too and do that work. Yep. And then just come back when you're ready. Hey, we are looking at this page on the application, and we're seeing that you really do need to have your social security number if you have one before you go on. And so if you haven't started yet, before you do the starting, feel free to go and grab your social security number if you have one. If you don't have one, they definitely still allow you to apply. And they do allow people who are DACA students or unregistered folks to apply. So don't worry about that. And feel free to be in touch with me if you have any questions. All right, and we'll be back in a sec. Okay, so we are back and we are going to that campuses and majors page and choosing the campuses that we're interested in. I'm just going to make a pitch for schools. These are the schools that Thomas is interested in based on his academic interests. And you will likely have different campuses based on your academic interests. And I've also got some stats about out-of-state acceptance rates at all the schools. And so let's be in touch about it if you're wondering. Ones that Thomas didn't select are also really very strong options for many people. It's just for given his situation, this is what he's got. Okay, so there, now you say save and continue. Oh, I think this is really helpful how they say your estimated cost. Like each time you add one, they show you how much it's going to cost. So that's cool. All right, so you see here how it tells you that you have an opportunity to select a major and an alternative major at each school. And most of the UC schools admit somewhat related to major, okay? And so I don't recommend putting undecided or undeclared at a University of California campus unless you truly are. And then let's talk about that. Okay, so don't just do that without checking in with me. So you, Thomas, let's just use you as an example here. When you're at Berkeley, what are you potentially thinking about? Do you even know? If you don't know, this is a great chance to click around and look. And what I would recommend is if you really don't know, pausing, click around here if you want to, but I would open up a new tab and go to, there are major maps for each of the schools. So like Google UC Berkeley majors, and choose a site that is from the University of California, Berkeley. There we go. Make sure it's an actual Berkeley page. Yep, that looks good.
Like this one.
Okay, yes. And so then you get a chance to, they have a little cute picture and they've got the title, and then you can click there and really learn about what's involved in that major. And so, right, you're interested in astrophysics. And so let's see, do they have more than the BA, or is it all a BA? They've got the Bachelor of Arts program. Looks like just Bachelor of Arts, okay. And you could do it as a major or as a minor. And you can explore other options if you want to too. If you're another kid, you sound very clear about that though, right? Or would you want to be looking around and seeing if there's anything else that you might want to do? Because they actually do ask you for an alternative. So would there be an alternative for you?
Well, I wouldn't pick astrophysics. I'd probably pick physics.
Oh, okay.
But I don't see that right now. Probably because it's
Probably under P. Yeah.
Here we are.
Okay. And do you think you would put astrophysics as an alternative, or do you think you would put something else? Let's look around after that. Okay, so go ahead.
I would probably put either astrophysics or astronomy. One of those probably.
Oh, so they're like there's astronomy separately. I see. Okay. So then I would Google. Say it again.
Or philosophy. I'm also interested in.
Or philosophy. Yeah. Okay, because so for me, just hearing that you're also potentially interested in philosophy, I don't know how many people put philosophy down these days. So I think there is a place where you can ask about the popularity of majors. So let's open that new tab. You said there was something when you did your previous search that made me think there was a page that would say that. Something like, okay, UC Berkeley majors, and then let's see if something that's what I wanted, acceptance rate with the majors. You see where it said, so back when we were looking and you had all the different options that came up, there was one that was offered that said something about majors and acceptance rate. So new tab.
Okay.
It was in the search. Okay, let's do that search again. UC Berkeley majors. Yep. Okay, and so there, you see, no, not acceptance rate. I want the majors acceptance rate here. UC majors acceptance rate. You see it? UC Berkeley majors acceptance rate. Yeah.
Yeah. That one?
Yes, that. Yep. Okay. So staying for med. Okay, that's not what we want. Does UC, what is the most competitive major? What are the top 3 majors at Berkeley? You see those questions down below? Oh, because this group, it's not made by Berkeley. It's called Staying Info or Med Group. Oh, Staying Informed Group. That's possible that would be, it's possible. Let's check that. I don't know who they are. I don't know if it's reliable, but let's look. Oh, this is actually, okay, super important. All right, so let's look at the acceptance rate by major, and let's see if you scroll down, whether there is information there. Okay, and we want, you don't have to subscribe with them. Okay, what are we looking for there? Undergraduate admissions, yes. We don't want transfer for you. There we go. University of California, Berkeley acceptance rates by major. Yes, that's what we want. Okay, and so you are where does it come in, your physics?
Let's see. I don't see anything about physics here.
I don't either.
Here.
Okay. Okay.
Biological studies is also another one. I might want to do biology.
Okay. That's definitely also very popular. So, okay, it doesn't give you it for other people who are watching this might help. But for you, that doesn't help. So some digging, more digging would need to be done to decide, because you have a lot of interests and many people have a lot of interests. And so they might have clear number one, but then about the number two, you can start to get a little strategic about whether there's something you would be interested in studying, like philosophy, that maybe not everybody would be putting down. And so then you might be able to be accepted and as a philosophy major, and then you would hopefully and likely be able to take other classes, but you'd need to be able to see what is that path of study for the philosophy major. So that might be worth Googling or looking back into that page where we were looking at choose your major. Usually the UC tabs have like a turquoise box with a white thing inside of it. And so were we already on the physics page? Yeah. And the page before that was what I'm looking for is the one that has all the different majors at Berkeley. And you could look at what is the course for physics. So maybe going, yes, I mean, not physics, for philosophy, because you want physics, but then if you clicked on philosophy, would those courses be ones that look like you would want, and would they let you study other things also? So then you go digging down into here and do some research into whether it feels like something that you would actually be glad to go there for, because especially almost everybody who's going to be watching this video is not a California resident. And so if it's not your state school and they don't let you into your top major or your second choice major, you probably aren't going to go. Like if they put you in something else, you're probably going to make another choice, right? And so you want to really research this major thing because you want it to be something that you would actually feel good about. Okay. And then at Berkeley and most of these schools that you're applying to, your major really does matter because it allows you to take classes or not take classes, in your first couple of years. And if you aren't in the major, if you're not accepted into the major that you want to be doing, you might have to go for additional quarters or semesters to get additional coursework. You might not be able to graduate in the 4 years because you're waiting to be able to take the classes to have high enough standing to do that. Do you have any questions? Do you know what I'm talking about, or is it confusing?
Yeah, I think I understand.
Okay. Okay, so that's that whole path. Let's go back to the university, the application one where you're choosing the major. Yeah. Great. So you might not be ready to decide now, but this is what would be given you at Berkeley. And so then we'd go back to and look at let's look a little bit at the other schools, what it looks like. And so you can't just always, you might be able to, but many people will not be able to find the exact same major at each school in the exact same college. So you have to look under each one. And so let's go back to, is it further down here, or where is it where you can see the other universities?
Let's see. This one?
Yeah. Okay. And so, cool. Okay. So you would do that same kind of thing. And all I'm saying is that it might be different at each school. So you want to allow yourself some time to research it, etc. All right. Let's go to the part that says, let's check on Santa Cruz. Can you see what happens when you click on Santa Cruz? You say choose major. what happens? Okay. Okay. All right. That's fine. That's similar. I mean, it's not the same in that you can't, it's not organized the same, but it's still just choosing majors. Okay, so I'm not sure where it is that you're getting where you get to it, but like I was showing you about the colleges at UC San Diego. I
Mhm.
know there are colleges at UC Santa Cruz also.
Yeah.
What happens if you switch? You see where it says browse by and it says college and category?
Mhm.
What happens if you switch what you are? Okay. Good. Okay, so you would probably be in the physical sciences.
Mhm.
And let's see there if it's the same as it was. Okay. Now for you, you see here how they're offering a BS in applied physics. And then if you go down to P, do they also have a physics? Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
So then you would really need to um, explore that, whether you want to, which one you want, and one might be your first choice and the other might be your second choice, or you might be able to say undeclared physical sciences and math, that if you really don't know, but you want to be in that college, you could put that.
Mhm.
All right. Any questions about this? So this, I'm saying this because my students in the past were like, oh, it's just a piece of cake. We just write this, as soon as I'm done with the PIQs, I can submit my applications to the UCs.
Mhm.
Not true, because you have to research and make sure that you know which major you want at each place. And some of them pop up these things about residential colleges and stuff, which I know will be part of the Santa Cruz. I mean, no, yes, part of Santa Cruz, but I'm not seeing where it is quite yet. Okay, so let's go to, so just for everybody here, over on the right side where it says academic history, test scores, activities and awards. Academic history is your courses and your grades. Test scores is any scores you want to submit, but remember the University of California's don't count your test scores in their admissions process. They do look at your academic history and your activities and awards. Funny about the academic history is that University of California's really only look carefully at your 10th and 11th grade classes as far as calculating a GPA, and they don't calculate A minuses or B pluses or minuses or pluses of any of the other grades. It's just the solid letter grade. So if you're a person who has A minuses, you're in luck because they are going to count your A minuses as A's. If you're a person with B pluses, too bad, you're going to be counted as a B. And they do something where they just count the courses that are the A to G requirement courses. And so you should Google that. What are the A to Gs? And they're going to show that to you too. Why don't we just click on academic history for a second, and I'm sure they tell you about that. Okay, so let's go to the introduction. Right, okay, so scroll down a little bit. Let's get to the information. Oh, okay. It's just saying make sure you have your transcript, because you really do need your transcript. And it could be confusing that they're asking you about 7th and 8th grade. That's only if those 7th and 8th grade classes are on your high school transcript.
Mhm.
So yeah. Okay, so continue. Let's see if they've got the A to G requirements part. Nope. Okay. All right, I know they have a part where they're walking you through what are the A to Gs. So I'll just tell you about it, that it doesn't count PE, and it only counts things that they are looking for. So would you open a new tab and go to UC A-G requirements? Okay, there we go. And again, you always want to go to the UC version of the information. Like other people will have this on their websites too, but you want to go to them. Okay, and so University of California is totally focused on California students in all of their writing. And so they're going to talk about things being UC approved. And so most high school courses are, UC approved. But if you go scrolling down a little bit, okay, maybe they don't have this. Sometimes they'll talk about honors classes, and unless you are in California, you're not going to have any UC approved honors classes, and that's okay. They'll still notice that it's an honors class from your state, but you can't categorize it as a UC approved honors class. Okay, so they're looking for anything that's a history class, and you can click there if you want to look at like, does my course work for this one? But as long as you've taken world history or US history, American government, all those classes will work. English classes, math classes, science classes, and then language classes. And the minimum requirement for language is 2 years, but they really very strongly recommend 3 years if at all possible. With visual and performing arts, they're looking for a full year of art that is in the same genre. So if you took photography 1 semester and music the 2nd semester, then generally that's not going to meet their 1 year. They want you to have 1 year of visual, or 1 year of theater, 1 year of dance, 1 year of music. And so are you there with that, Thomas?
I did ceramics for a year. Does that count?
Yep, it does. Yep. So that's a visual art.
I'm
Okay.
doing
And then
again this year.
oh, good. Okay. So then they have this category called college prep elective. And so that might be something that you need to Google, but a lot of times that's something like, journalism classes or psychology classes, things like that can often fit in the G area. But you'll see there's nothing for physical health or, anything sports or any of that is not on there. And so they're only looking at your grades in these A to G courses, and only for 10th and 11th grade. They do want you to put on the courses that you took in 9th and 12th grade, or the ones that you're going to take, but they only use those for calculating UC GPA. Any questions about that before we go on to the personal insight questions?
Nope.
Okay. All right, so let's go back to the application. And let's go over to the right where it says below activities and awards. Actually, I'll just highlight that the activities and awards, that's where we've been working on our activities lists for BBs. The BBs is going to be like a beautiful thing with the UC activities list because it's got the fuller option. You can have up to 20 activities or awards, and you can write up to 350 characters in the what you did section, and you can also add lots more in the organization description and the position description. And so in your Council More assignments, there is an assignment that gives you a template to do a draft of that, and then you fill it out, and then you get it, check it out with me, and then go ahead and put it in. All right, and so then the personal insight, that's where we want to launch you into today so that you can do some work on this before next time we connect with each other. All right, so there's this part called personal insight questions, and they're going to have you do an introduction, and then why don't you click just on the personal insight questions themselves. All right. Okay, and so there are videos in links in Councilmore assignments that have videos like from Berkeley and places that they walk you through like how to do this, okay? And then also I've got links to College Essay Guy tips on how to do this. But the big idea is you look through, there are 8 options, okay? And you end up choosing 4 of them. And you think about what are the things that you want these colleges and universities to know about you. And then you try to figure out a way to show all of those most important things about you across 4 of these personal insight questions. And this is completely different from the personal statement for Common App. What they want here is for you to answer the question, and they want you to put in as many details in answering that question as you can, because what they do is go through looking for their 13 points of comprehensive review, which we will look at next before we end this video. They're looking for examples of those things so they can give you points, like little check marks. And the only way you can get those check marks is if you have it in the application, either in your courses and grades section, in your additional information context, which we can talk about maybe another time, or in your personal insight questions. Okay, so let's go through here. The first one is the leadership one. And leadership can be in any area. The second one is creative side, and that could be any kind of creativity, problem solving, original thinking, or it can be artistic. Third is what's your greatest talent or skill? This could be like a music or an art thing, but it could be, you know, question asking or persistence, right? I mean, it doesn't have to be, it could be one of your top values. The fourth one says, how have you taken advantage of a significant educational opportunity or worked to overcome an educational barrier you've faced? Those are really 2 different questions, and you get to choose which one you're answering there. If you've got, you know, a really cool thing that you've done, like a research project or lab work, or you had an opportunity to extend your learning at school, or you studied abroad, or, you know, all sorts of things, that might be a good one for you here. Or whether you moved, if you moved a lot, or you didn't have access to classes you needed because the school was understaffed, or, you know, something like a real barrier, you could address that here too. The fifth one is about significant challenge and how that shows up or affected your academic achievement. Let's talk about that one, if that's something that you're thinking about doing. If you ended up for your personal statement for Common App doing a challenge-based essay, maybe that would work here. And then the academic subject one is a great one to do. I recommend everybody doing the number 6, as if at all possible at UC. What is the academic subject that inspires you, and describe how you've furthered this interest in or out of the classroom. And so, Thomas, I'm thinking about your interest in physics and astronomy, or other areas of interest. You could really highlight that here. What did you do at school? What did you do outside of school to further that? 7 is what have you done to make your school or community a better place? Highly recommend that one as well, if you can at all find some way that you've made it a better place. Like I was just talking with a student, and we were talking about they don't have official leadership positions in any community group that they're part of, but they always bring a particular attitude and a particular stance, and people are always count on them to play a particular facilitating role in their different communities. And so they're going to write about that. You know, you think about that. It could be your volunteering service. And then number 8 is kind of like the 7 on the Common App. If there isn't anything above that you really want to speak to, what is something that makes you a strong candidate that you want to add here? Okay, and so given all the work that you've done with your BBs and with your activities listing, and you're thinking about what's important to you and your personal statement drafting before, you could now go to brainstorming which of these 8 you're going to choose. What are the 4 that you might start with? And, you can change over time if it doesn't work out. And then you can use this workbook that I'm going to direct you to help guide you through the brainstorming. Okay. What was the thing I said that I wanted to make sure to link you to before we finish today? Do you remember what I just said? I just said, let's talk about that right after this. Well, I lost it. We'll pick it up next time. Any questions about these personal insight questions in general before I pull up the workbook of where we're going to go for this?
Not really.
All right. So Thomas, if you go to your assignments, there's one called UC-PIQ brainstorming. Do you see it?
Where are the assignments?
This is in your council more. So I'll pull it up. I'm going to stop you screen sharing. I'll pull it up just for time, but you can be finding it while I'm gone. While I'm doing this. Find your assignment that says UC-PIQ brainstorming, or you could find any of your UC ones because, it was the 13 points of comprehensive review. Let's definitely talk about that. Okay, I'm actually going into the assignment that says UC application review resources and information about 13 points of comprehensive review. And it also has the workbook in it. So while I'm here, this workbook right here, if you open it, it will be a place where it walks you through the steps of doing the personal insight question brainstorming, and it gives you a space to write that if you'd like. You can also make your own doc and work on that however you want. This is a webinar from Berkeley about the UC-PIQs that I highly recommend. And then this is the information about the 13 points of comprehensive review. And here's the college essay guide version. I'm going to just pull up the college essay guide version right now. And I do need to wrap up in the next 2 minutes. So I'm going to start. I am going to start doing that. Sorry, someone just let me pause for a second. Pause, can't do that. I'm just going to do it. Okay. Sorry, everybody. Okay. All right. So you always have to close that thing. All right. So UC applications, they are evaluated by these 13 elements of comprehensive review. And so you can review these on your own. If you have any questions about them, let me know. There are certain ones that do not apply to those of us who are outside of California, like number 4 and number 6. And so and number 3. So number 3, number 4, and number 6, you can't do as an out-of-state person, so don't worry about it. And so you will be evaluated on the other areas. And so when you're doing your application, you want to recognize that this is the area that you're going to be basically graded on. And you can read from College Essay Guy about it. And I think he has some webinars about it too. And then you go to your workbook. And here is the information. Most of you who've been working with me for a little while will have already done this values exercise. You will have already done your BBs. And so you really can just go to the outlining drafting section. And what I would recommend is choosing your first one, like number 1, leadership, and then going about bulleting. Bullet all the things you'd like to include there. And it can be all sorts of different kinds of leadership. And things I'd pull up is looking at your BBs. You could really pull heavily from your BBs, like directly into this. Okay. And so outline each of the 4 that you're thinking of, and then let's have a check-in. And then the next thing would be to do the draft. Okay, and so things, Thomas, thank you for letting me just talk. But the things that I would say are the next things for you to do are the opening the application itself, and then doing all of the parts of the application that you can do, and then doing the activities list if you haven't already done that, the UC activities list, and then getting into this workbook and starting to brainstorm which 4 you want to do and what would be involved in those 4, and then check back. Okay. Any questions, thoughts about that?
Nope. I already have 4 that I think I'm gonna do probably.
Okay, what are you thinking about doing? What, my person's coming any
I'm thinking
second,
of-
so when the dog stops to bark, we will be done. Okay, go
Okay.
for it.
I'm thinking of doing the academic challenge one. Talk
Yep.
about how like I wasn't in IB for 9th and 10th grade, and I wasn't going to do IB at all. But I decided junior year to kind of step up and challenge myself. Ended up doing really well in IB, and I kind of
That's
took that
great.
challenge and ended up great. So yeah.
I think that's a really smart thing for you to be highlighting, because it shows how much you're ready for college and university also. And it also isn't covered in another area, right? Like it's not covered if you, even if you talk about your academic interest, that wouldn't cover it. If you talked about leadership, that wouldn't cover it, so that's great. Really smart. What else?
Leadership. I could talk about how I was captain of the JV lacrosse team. And I
Yeah.
kind of just led my teammates and stuff like that.
Mhm.
I was also leader in a couple school projects, like
Yes,
a hydraulics competition in physics that we won, some like stuff like that.
I
Yeah.
think that's so smart that you are going to include multiple types of leadership and not just the captaining of the team. I think that's really, really smart. As many things that you can get into each PIQ, the better. Like they want to have they don't want to have an arc of a story as much as they want to have all the stuff you've done. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. What else?
The other 2, I think one of them might have been the forgot what it said exactly, but like what difficulties or something have you had?
Yes.
And talk about COVID. But I don't know if I should do that because it might be too
There's
like everyone doing that.
there's a COVID section, so you don't need to
Okay.
use one of your PIQs for COVID. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Any others come to mind?
There was one, I forgot it already though,
Okay.
but I had an idea for it.
Okay. Well, did you find the stuff? Okay. So everybody, this is what you would do is brainstorm the different possibilities, and I am happy to talk with people about that. Okay.